1999's The Matrix opens on computer programmer Thomas Anderson, known by his hacking alias Neo, as he's visited by strangers Morpheus and Trinity. Morpheus informs Neo that his entire life is a lie and that he's actually been living in a computer simulation known as the Matrix. If Neo wanted to know more, he could take a red pill. If he wanted to return to life as he knew it, he could take the blue pill. Neo takes the red pill and his reality disintegrates before he wakes up nude in a liquid-filled pod, surrounded by countless other pods containing unconscious humans. Morpheus arrives to pick up Neo and bring him aboard his ship, the Nebuchadnezzar. Morpheus explains to Neo that in the future a war breaks out between humans and intelligent machines, a war in which the machines win. These machines have captured the humans and begun harvesting them for their bioelectric power, while also keeping their minds pacified by placing them in the Matrix, a simulation modeled after Earth in 1999. A small group of human rebels, the last of their kind, take refuge in the city of Zion. Morpheus and his crew hack into the Matrix to unplug and recruit enslaved humans to help fight the machines. Serving alongside Morpheus and Trinity on the Nebuchadnezzar are Apoc, Mouse, Switch, the brothers Tank and Dozer, and the mischievous Cypher, who regrets taking the red pill and longs to be placed back into a simpler life in the Matrix. Morpheus trains Neo in the ways of the Matrix, explaining that knowing how the simulation works can allow humans to bend its physical laws. Morpheus also explains that dying in the Matrix meant death in the real world. Neo proves exceptionally adept in his training, and Morpheus begins to believe that he is the One, a human prophesied to free all of the enslaved humans. Morpheus takes Neo back into the Matrix to meet the Oracle, the prophet who first predicted the One. While there, the crew are attacked by a group of agents led by Agent Smith. Agents are computer programs created to protect the Matrix from any threat that could expose the false reality. Mouse is killed in the attack and Morpheus is captured. Cypher exits the Matrix and is revealed to have made a deal with the machines to kill his crew in exchange for being placed back inside the Matrix to live a peaceful life. Cypher begins killing off the rest of the Nebuchadnezzar crew, but is killed by Tank before he can finish off Neo and Trinity. Neo and Trinity rescue Morpheus, and Neo gains newfound abilities to perceive and control the Matrix. Neo defeats Smith and the other agents and promises the machines that he will show their prisoners a world where anything is possible. In The Matrix Reloaded, 6 months have passed. Neo and Trinity are now romantically involved, and at some point Tank has been killed and replaced aboard the Nebuchadnezzar by Link. The crew is called to the free city of Zion, where the captains of various ships are told that an army of machine sentinels will reach and destroy the city, and thus the last of humankind, within 72 hours. Commander Locke wants every ship to return to Zion to assist in the fight against the machines, but Morpheus believes the only true hope is Neo and wants to use his ship to visit the Oracle. Making things a little more awkward for Morpheus is that his ex, Captain Niobe of the Logos, was currently in a relationship with Commander Locke. Meanwhile, Agent Smith has become a rogue program who can clone himself and takes over the body of a human named Bane, and uses it to leave the Matrix and enter the real world. Neo visits the Oracle, whom he learns is actually a program in the Matrix. She tells him that to defeat the machines, he must reach the source of the Matrix with the help of the Keymaker. Neo is then attacked by an army of Smith clones who he must eventually retreat from. Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus then pay a visit to the Merovingian, a rogue program who was imprisoning the Keymaker. The group rescues the Keymaker and are pursued by agents and the Merovingian's henchmen, which include literal vampires and a pair of ghosts known as the Twins. Neo and his friends manage to defeat their pursuers and escape. And with an assist from Niobe and her crew aboard the Logos, Neo and the Keymaker manage to make it to the source. But the Keymaker is killed in the process. Inside the source, Neo meets the Architect, the program that created the Matrix. The Architect explains to Neo that this is the 6th iteration of the Matrix and that Neo, being the chosen one, was a specific part of the simulation's design. The Matrix will always inevitably have a fatal system crash due to the concept of human choice. It was up to Neo to decide whether to enter the source and reboot the Matrix, in which he would be allowed to save a small number of humans to repopulate Zion, or refuse and allow the Matrix to crash, killing everyone inside it and effectively ending the human race. When Neo realizes that Trinity was currently in trouble, he decides to leave to rescue her. After rescuing Trinity, the crew returns to the real world where they are attacked by sentinels. The crew escape the Nebuchadnezzar just before it's destroyed, but are still pursued by the machines. Neo inexplicably is able to use his powers to control and disable the machines in the real world, but the effort causes him to fall into a coma. The other crew members are rescued by the Hammer, where the captain informs them that all of the other ships defending Zion have been destroyed, after a human crew member prematurely detonated an EMP, and that crew member was the only survivor. the Smith-possessed Bane. The story concludes in the Matrix Revolutions. Neo's mind has become trapped in a transition zone between the Matrix and the machine world that is controlled by the Merovingian. Morpheus and Trinity force the Merovingian to release Neo, who once again returns to the Oracle for information. She reveals to Neo that the rogue Agent Smith wants to destroy both the Matrix and the real world. After Neo leaves, Smith shows up and takes over the Oracle's body, gaining her powers of precognition. In the real world, Neo and Trinity decide to fly the Logos to Machine City to end things once and for all, unaware that Bane has secretly stowed away with them. Meanwhile, Morpheus, Niobe, and the other crew attempt to race the hammer back to Zion, which was currently under attack. The hammer arrives just in time to save and overrun Zion, thwarting an attack that could have ended all of humanity. But now all of the city's defenses were destroyed and their armies severely weakened. The only hope left was Neo and Trinity. On their way to Machine City, Bane attacks Trinity and blinds Neo. Neo can still see machine source code in the real world and uses these powers to kill the Smith-possessed Bane. Trinity then pilots the Logos to Machine City, but they are attacked and crash land. Trinity is mortally injured in the crash and dies in Neo's arms. Neo then enters Machine City to confront their leaders, warning them of Agent Smith's plans to destroy both the Matrix and the real world. He offers to defeat Smith in exchange for peace for Zion, a deal the machines agree to. The machines then send Neo back into the Matrix to defeat Agent Smith, who has by this point taken over every single one of its inhabitants. Neo and Smith fight, which eventually leads to Neo's apparent defeat. But in the real world, the machines send a surge of energy into Neo's body, which destroys Agent Smith and all of his clones, restoring everyone he had previously taken over. This also results in the death of Neo, whose lifeless body is carried away by the machines. The machines keep their end of the deal and withdraw from the attack on Zion. In the rebooted Matrix, the Oracle and the Architect meet in the park. They both acknowledge that the peace between the humans and the machines will last as long as it can, and later the Oracle confesses that she believes that one day they will see Neo again. And that concludes the story of the original Matrix trilogy, but surprisingly that's not where the story officially ends. In 2005, The Matrix Online was launched. Written by the Wachowskis, The Matrix Online was an MMORPG that allowed players to enter the Matrix and play along with others while also witnessing the official continuation of the story. Between its original release in 2005 and its eventual shutdown in 2009, there were several major story developments that players could experience. The most relevant of which was the story of Morpheus. Morpheus has become upset with the machines for not returning Neo's body to Zion, as Morpheus believed there was a way to resurrect him. In his quest to retrieve Neo's body, Morpheus begins detonating bombs in the Matrix to kill blue pill humans in an attempt to strong-arm the machines. Eventually, Morpheus was murdered by a mysterious assassin who was actually a humanoid mass of flies. Yes, seriously. There has been some confusion amongst players and characters in the game about the legitimacy of Morpheus' death, as broadcasts seemingly originating from Morpheus were transmitted after his demise. But those broadcasts turned out to be from a digital clone of Morpheus being used to spread fear and mistrust of the machines. So yeah, Morpheus was probably killed by a bunch of flies, but he was able to be cloned, and before his death he believed there was a way to resurrect Neo. Might these events have something to do with what's going on in the Matrix Resurrections? Well, we'll have to watch the movie to find out. And that's everything you need to know before seeing The Matrix Resurrections. Let me know some of your favorite moments from the Matrix franchise in the comments below, and what are you most looking forward to seeing in The Matrix Resurrections? Like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to this channel for more content like it. That does it for me in this video, but I'll see you in the next one.